What makes one woman stay true while another destroys everything you've built? It's not random, and it's not fate. It's in the choices she makes every single day. One respects the bond, even when tempted. The other uses temptation as an excuse to betray. Most men can't tell the difference until the damage is already done. But you don't have to be blind. There are 7 signs that separate women who stay from women who stray. And once you know them, you'll finally see who's by your side and who's waiting to stab you in the back. Now, I'll show you the very first sign that exposes a woman's true nature. And it's not what most men expect. Number 1. Look at how she handles emotional responsibility. This is where the first cracks always show. A disloyal woman will rarely, if ever, admit her role in the problems inside the relationship. Every fight, every cold silence, every disappointment somehow becomes your fault. She points the finger at boredom, at routine, at your supposed lack of attention. And here's the painful truth. Many men accept it. They take on the weight of every flaw, thinking if they just try harder, if they just give more, things will get better. But that's the trap. A loyal woman experiences the same temptations, the same frustrations, but she has something the other never developed: self-control. She respects the bond enough to confront discomfort rather than escape it. She has the maturity to say, "This bothers me," instead of letting resentment rot in silence. The difference may sound subtle, but it's not. One woman shifts the blame, the other takes ownership. One destroys trust by refusing to face herself. The other builds respect by being honest. Imagine the pain of carrying a relationship on your shoulders while she walks free of responsibility. That invisible weight crushes a man's confidence. Over time, he stops trusting his own judgment because every argument ends with him apologizing for things he didn't even do. That erosion is deadly to a man's self-respect. If you want to know who you're truly dealing with, stop listening to excuses and start watching how she responds when she's called out. Does she deflect or does she reflect? Does she twist the narrative or does she own her part? Emotional responsibility isn't just a detail. It's the root system of loyalty. A woman who refuses to hold herself accountable is already halfway out the door. You just haven't seen it yet. Number 2. Pay attention to how she handles closeness when things get uncomfortable. A woman who is not loyal doesn't break away overnight. She withdraws little by little. She goes cold in conversations, avoids eye contact, disappears for hours with vague excuses. She laughs with friends but falls silent with you. You feel her body next to yours, but her mind has already walked away. That is not harmless distance. It's the slow suffocation of intimacy. And here's the worst part. Many men sense it, but choose to ignore it. They tell themselves she's just stressed, just busy, just tired. But deep down, they feel the chill. They feel the way she no longer leans in when she talks, the way she suddenly guards her phone, the way she avoids serious discussions. These are not random mood swings. They are signals of emotional escape. A loyal woman doesn't vanish when tension rises. She faces the uncomfortable truth, even if it stings. She sits down, looks you in the eye, and says, "Something feels off." She doesn't hide behind silence because she knows silence is poison. Her loyalty isn't about perfection, it's about courage. Courage to stay present even when the conversation cuts deep. Picture the man who ignores the red flags. He keeps waiting for her warmth to return, waiting for the affection that used to feel natural. But instead of honesty, he gets distance. That emotional abandonment is one of the most painful betrayals because you're still there, trying, while she's already halfway gone. So ask yourself this. When she feels unhappy, does she disappear into coldness or does she bring it to the table? Does she pull away like a ghost or does she lean in to work things out? That difference decides whether you're building trust or waiting for the inevitable collapse. Number 3. Watch the way she tests you. Every woman will test a man at some point. It's part of human insecurity. But the difference lies in her intention. A disloyal woman doesn't test to connect. She tests to manipulate. She thrives on emotional chaos. She throws out little traps, complimenting another man in front of you, comparing you to her ex, poking at your weaknesses just to see if you'll lose control. Then she sits back and watches your reaction like it's a game. If you explode, she loses respect. If you stay quiet and take it, she still loses respect. It's a rigged system. You can't win because the point isn't love, it's power. A loyal woman may test too, but her tests are rooted in vulnerability, not destruction. She might say, "Do you still find me attractive?" Or, "I miss how we used to spend time." Her goal is reassurance, not control. She challenges you to step closer, not to tear you down. That's the crucial difference most men miss. The danger of falling for manipulative tests is not just the momentary conflict. It's the erosion of your masculine identity. When you accept devaluation, when you tolerate constant comparisons, you unconsciously tell her it's acceptable to keep chipping away at you. Over time, you don't even recognize yourself. Think about it. A woman who truly respects you will challenge you to grow, but never in a way that humiliates you. A woman who plans to betray will provoke until you break, because breaking you is how she convinces herself she's still in control. The line is clear if you're willing to see it. Are her tests coming from insecurity or from manipulation? From a desire for closeness or a hunger for chaos? That answer will tell you exactly which path your relationship is heading down. Number 4. Listen carefully to the way she talks about her past. A disloyal woman rarely admits the full story. Her history is a patchwork of vague explanations and edited details. Ask her about an ex and she shrugs. It was complicated. Press for more and she dodges. That's in the past, it doesn't matter. But here's the truth. It always matters, because patterns repeat. If she never faced her mistakes, she's likely to carry them straight into the next chapter. And guess what? That next chapter could be you. A loyal woman doesn't need to paint a perfect picture. She owns her scars. She can tell you where she went wrong, what she learned, and how she's different now. Her honesty might sting, but it's real. She doesn't hide behind denial because she knows growth only comes from acknowledging the mess. That's why her past feels clear. You can see the progression from immaturity to maturity. That's a woman who has built character. Now imagine discovering too late that her friend was actually an old flame she never let go of. Or realizing every breakup in her history ended with the same vague excuse. That's not coincidence, that's a cycle. And men who ignore these red flags often wake up to the painful realization that they weren't chosen for love. They were just filling a familiar role in her repeated drama. When you pay attention, the signs are always there. A woman who hides, evades, or changes her story, depending on who's asking, is revealing more than she thinks. She's telling you she hasn't processed her past, she hasn't grown from it, and she hasn't left it behind. The question you must ask isn't just, what happened before me? It's, what did she learn from it? Because a woman who refuses to face her past doesn't rewrite her story. She simply relives it with a new character. And unless you're careful, that character could be you. Number 5. Watch how she treats flirting. For a disloyal woman, flirting isn't harmless fun. It's her social currency. She flirts at work, on social media, with strangers at the bar. It's how she feeds her ego. She thrives on the looks, the attention, the little rush of knowing she still has options. And here's the brutal truth. She doesn't stop when she's in a relationship. In fact, sometimes she doubles down, using her connection with you as proof of her desirability to other men. A loyal woman sees flirting differently. She knows that every glance, every playful comment, every innocent laugh at the wrong time carries weight. She values discretion because she respects the trust you've built. That doesn't mean she's invisible. It means she's intentional. She understands that too much energy aimed outward eventually cracks what's inside. Now picture this. You're standing right next to her, and she's giggling with another man, leaning in just a little too close. You feel that knot in your chest, the sting of humiliation. But when you bring it up, she says, "Relax, I'm just being friendly." That's not friendliness. That's devaluation disguised as charm. And if you ignore it, it becomes the new normal. Men often confuse charisma with loyalty. They think a woman who craves constant male attention is just social. But there's a razor-thin line between being social and being on the market. A woman who is truly loyal will never make her partner question where her loyalty lies. She knows the difference between confidence and carelessness. Flirting isn't always cheating, but it opens doors that should never be opened, and a woman who treats it as a lifestyle is always testing the market, even when she claims she's committed. The question you must ask isn't whether she's physically unfaithful yet. It's whether her behavior shows emotional loyalty. Because once respect slips, betrayal isn't far behind. Number 6. Pay attention to how she talks about freedom. A disloyal woman loves to wave the freedom flag, but not because she values independence. It's because she wants a shield to hide behind. She'll say things like, "I don't owe anyone an explanation," or "I'm free, I can do whatever I want." On the surface, it sounds confident. In reality, it's just a loophole. It's a way to justify disappearing for hours, chatting with other men online, posting provocative pictures, and then flipping the script when you ask about it. Suddenly, you're the problem. You're jealous, you're insecure, you're the one trying to control her. A loyal woman values freedom too, but she understands that real freedom comes with responsibility. She knows that being in a relationship doesn't mean being trapped. It means being committed. Her independence is steady, not reckless. She respects time, boundaries, and space because she recognizes that freedom without responsibility is just chaos dressed up as empowerment. Now imagine the emotional trap of being called controlling just because you asked for respect. You're not demanding ownership. You're drawing a boundary. But if she twists that into weakness, you start doubting yourself. You walk on eggshells, afraid to be labeled insecure, while she keeps pushing limits. That confusion destroys trust faster than any argument. True freedom builds connection. It says, "I choose to be with you, and I don't need to test the limits to prove it." Fake freedom tears it down. It hides shady behavior behind a mask of independence. And here's the key. A woman who truly respects herself won't need to remind you she's free. Her actions will show maturity, not manipulation. So when she talks about freedom, listen carefully. Is she using it as an excuse to avoid accountability? Or does she see freedom as a way to strengthen the bond? The answer will reveal whether she's building trust or quietly dismantling it while you're left defending yourself against accusations that were never yours to carry. Number 7. Watch how she handles conflict and even how she reacts to compliments. This is where the mask usually slips. A disloyal woman cannot stand the heat of emotional pressure. When tension rises, she doesn't step forward. She steps away. She shuts down, disappears, avoids the hard conversations. Sometimes she's physically present, but emotionally absent, cold, indifferent, numb. That silence isn't peace, it's punishment. It's how she escapes responsibility without ever saying the words. A loyal woman doesn't vanish when things get hard. She may not like conflict, but she respects it as part of real love. She'll argue, she'll cry, she'll say what hurts, but she stays. because she knows leaving the table doesn't solve anything. It's in the storm where loyalty proves itself. Now let's add another layer, how she responds to compliments. A woman who is not loyal craves them like oxygen. Every like, every message, every stare across the room fuels her ego. She depends on male validation, the way a smoker depends on nicotine. If you don't praise her enough, she resents you. That hunger doesn't stop. It grows until she looks for it elsewhere. Contrast that with a loyal woman. Of course, she appreciates compliments, but they don't define her. She doesn't need 100 strangers to tell her she's beautiful to believe in her worth. Her calm energy doesn't shift depending on who notices her. And because she doesn't need outside approval to feel secure, she doesn't put her partner in a constant state of doubt. Think of the damage when both conflict and validation become weapons. When she disappears during arguments and feeds off outside praise, a man slowly loses himself. He questions his role, his value, even his sanity. That erosion doesn't happen overnight. It happens through silence and hunger for attention. So pay attention to these two windows, conflict and compliments. They reveal more about her loyalty than 1,000 promises. If she runs from the storm and chases external validation, she's not building trust. She's breaking it, piece by piece. Now let's go beyond the differences and talk about your strategy as a man. Recognizing the signs is powerful, but knowledge without action is useless. Too many men see the red flags, feel the distance, and still choose silence. They convince themselves it will change, that she'll come back around, that love alone will fix it. But silence doesn't protect you. It weakens you. Every day you excuse manipulation or disrespect, you're teaching yourself to settle for less than you deserve. The first strategy is simple but hard. Set boundaries early and clearly. If she dodges responsibility, call it out. If she flirts for attention, don't laugh it off. Address it. Boundaries are not about control. They're about self-respect. A woman who truly values you will respect those lines. A woman who doesn't will fight them, twist them, or shame you for drawing them. That reaction tells you more than her words ever could. Second, focus on patterns, not promises. Anyone can promise loyalty, but behavior reveals the truth. Watch what she does when pressure rises, how she treats your presence, how she explains her past. Patterns are more honest than intentions. Third, stop carrying the relationship alone. If you're the only one working, the only one fighting for stability, you're not in a partnership. You're in captivity. And the longer you stay, the more you shrink. Freedom comes from admitting when you're the only one holding the weight. And finally, accept this truth. You cannot control loyalty. That choice is hers. What you can control is how quickly you recognize the warning signs and how firmly you protect your dignity. That's the difference between being drained for years and walking away with your self-respect intact. So don't just study these differences. Live by them. Use them as a compass. Because the man who protects his emotional space is the man who never has to beg for loyalty again. You've seen it clearly now. The differences between a woman who stays and a woman who strays aren't hidden in the shadows. They're in plain sight, written into how she handles responsibility, how she deals with distance, how she tests you, how she speaks about her past, how she flirts, how she defines freedom, and how she faces conflict. None of these are small details. They're the foundation on which loyalty or betrayal is built. The danger isn't that these signs don't exist. The danger is that most men refuse to see them until it's too late. They tell themselves it's just stress, or just a phase, or just part of love. But love without awareness is blind. And blindness in a relationship doesn't protect you. It traps you. Here's the truth. You can't stop a woman from making her choice. Loyalty can't be demanded. But what you can do is sharpen your vision, strengthen your boundaries, and refuse to carry a relationship that's built on excuses and manipulation. That's not control. It's self-respect. So I'll ask you directly, are you going to ignore what you've just learned, or are you going to use it as armor? The difference between years of wasted time and a future of strength starts with that choice. If this video opened your eyes, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with another man who needs to wake up before it's too late. Hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment with the words, "Now I see clearly." That way, I'll know you're part of the men who are no longer walking blind. And remember this, you may never control who a woman decides to be, but you can always control how you respond. That control, that calm, unshakable awareness is the real freedom of a man,